Hey everybody, what's up? What's going on? We finally got Boruto chapter 57, and this thing got dark. Things got dark really fast, and things got kind of weird. But let's jump into it. I'll talk about why. So we start off right where we left off last chapter with Code and Bug standing outside Eida's pod, and Code's actually kind of annoyed that Boro went against Jigen's wishes to keep her around. Bug basically says that I'm surprised that if you knew she existed, why didn't you just come do something about it? And Code says that Jigen would have had him kill Boro, which he didn't want to do because he didn't want to kill a good friend. Bug's not believing this at all, and he wants to know if Code knows all of Eida's abilities, and he seems super nervous, growing more and more nervous the more they're talking. And Code says he doesn't know everything, he just knows that she knows everything. Once Bug says that you can't control her brute force, it's almost like Code feels like he was testing him, so he activates the karma, slashes open the pod. Bug flips out when Code destroys the pod, and Code just says if she doesn't listen to me, I'm just going to kill her straight up. Which really goes to show the fact that Code is stronger than Jigen, because we know all these androids are supposed to be stronger than Jigen, but Code doesn't even care about that. And that's really interesting, because I don't think that's him just being stupid, I think that's him just knowing how strong he is. So next is the Gokage Summit, which is held via Zoom because of the pandemic. There's really not too much to talk about in this scene besides the fact that they're letting all the villages in on the information they have. I just want to talk about this little slide with Code on it. Like, it looks like a tablet, so like, did Amato just bring a photo of Code with him when he abandoned the leaf? Because like, it's a realistic photo. That's just weird. Of course, the most important bit of dialogue comes from Gaara when he just straight up asks Naruto, could he kill Boruto if he has to? And this is what I mean when I'm saying that Boruto just got super dark, because now we're talking about possibly killing the main character in order to protect the world, because at this point they have no way to stop him from becoming another bad guy. And it's bad enough they have Code and Eida to worry about at this point. Momoshiki coming back, the way he was able to take out Sasuke's Rinnegan, no problem. Like, Boruto is a real threat. I just also love that they had Gaara ask Naruto, because obviously he's the one closest with Naruto. And I just thought that was a cool little moment. And the saddest part of this is just hearing Naruto say that he's having trouble believing that my precious son is going to become an Otsutsuki. How could you not feel bad for Naruto at this point, man? We went through this whole journey with this guy, and for him to have to imagine losing his son, he was the strongest person in the universe, basically, until we started getting into the Boruto series. So for years, you know, basically this guy walked around as like God and no one could touch him, and he brought the whole world together. And, you know, it's like life got him where he was vulnerable. Amato mentions that he feels Naruto's pain because he had a daughter once who died 12 years ago. A lot of speculation online is pointing to this being Delta, possibly, because she hates Amato. But we learn later on that Eida hates Amato as well. It's for an entirely different reason. But I mean, it's definitely possible it could be Delta at this point. We'll just have to wait and see. But he wouldn't have brought that up unless we're going to get an answer for that. So we'll definitely know eventually. Then things get even worse for Naruto when Amato gives him drugs that he could give to Boruto that will possibly stall Momoshiki taking over Boruto's body. The only problem is the side effect's going to be blindness. So it's either you go blind or you turn into somebody else. And then he mentions that it's not going to be a permanent solution. So you're going to go blind and then still turn into somebody else. It's really starting to seem like Boruto is going to lose everything, just like Momoshiki said. The second Eida steps out of the pod, we notice that Code already laid a trap on her. She walks out of the pod and walks right past Code without saying a thing, just showing how strong she's going to be. Code then goes to attack her and says, hold it right there, I'll attack you if you try to move. She says, go ahead and try to attack me. And then he says that he can't even move his hand. And this is where things get super interesting, because we learn a lot about what Eida's capable of. She has a dojutsu. We don't know if it's a scientific ninja tool, but it's a power in her eyes called the Senrigan. Viz decided not to translate it the same way, so it wasn't mentioned in this chapter, but in Japan it was mentioned that it was called the Senrigan, so we don't know if it'll have the same name when it comes over, but that's all I know for now. It's a pretty loose topic at this moment. So it has a few abilities, one of them being basically just looking at you, you will fall in love with Eida and do anything she says, basically. So she basically doesn't have complete control over Code, but he feels like he loves her right away. He even asks Bug, you know, hey, do you think she's interested in me? And that's when Bug just calls him a fool because he's fallen for it. And that's why Bug probably said to her, "Yes, ma'am, I'll get him to the bar right away," because he's in love with her too. We're given the idea that she has like a really flirty personality since he keeps like joking around or toying with Code after he said he was interested, because she knows that he's interested in her because that's basically how everyone acts around her. Then we learn more about her even more broken ability, which is that she knows everything in this world. How it works is essentially she can see anything in the past back until the day she was born. She even goes out of the way to say, you shouldn't ask a girl when she was born, so we don't know how old she is. And she says that she can see anything going on currently, like how she saw Ishiki dying and how she saw Ishiki come talk to Code as well. On top of that, she knew that Code would come and visit her to get the limiters removed. The only problem with trying to get the limiters removed is a motto is needed to remove the limiters. There's a voice activation and an iris recognition. Problem with the iris recognition is that he did something with his eyes that you can't just transform into him. It won't be recognized. Eida said she doesn't even know the code word, which is interesting because how could she not just go through the past to find the code word? So he must have never spoken this code word out loud, otherwise she would have seen it. And then speaking more about Amato, who's getting a lot of hate this episode, like from Darwi, we talked about before how Delta hates him. It turns out Eida hates him too. Why does Eida hate him? Eida hates Amato because she can't find true love because of the ability he's given her. So, yeah, it's going to be one of those things. So when Code asks her if he can't figure out if his infatuation with her is caused by her ability or just natural, she gets kind of annoyed because she's like, you have no idea how hard it is to be somebody who everyone just loves, and she can't tell if it's real love or not. And her whole thing is she wants to feel like a natural, genuine love for herself. Code mentions that he sees now why Boro decided to disobey Jigen's order and not dispose of her, because he couldn't do anything. He was in love with her. He had to keep her alive. And basically, she says that she couldn't steal Jigen's heart, though. They discuss that she can't steal relatives' hearts or any Otsutsuki's hearts, probably because they're not human, which I assume is what they're going with. But she says that boy Kawaki, he's turning into an Otsutsuki too, or at least is part Otsutsuki at this point. She says that Ishiki died falling for his plan, and when she saw that, her heart fluttered, and it was a thrill. She said she hasn't felt like that in a long time, so she's wondering if that's what an ordinary romance feels like, which means we're going to get Eida trying to kidnap Kawaki to fall in love with her. That's what we're doing. Code's like, hey, there's that Boruto Uzumaki as well. He's kind of like an Otsutsuki. And she's like, oh, he's cute and dreamy too. But what about your objectives? Don't you need to feed somebody to the Ten Tails to cultivate the Divine Tree? And Code's like, oh, no, you'll be down one of your precious princes if I do that. And she's like, nah, don't worry about it. Because she wants Kawaki, I guess, after seeing him defeat Ishiki. And Bug mentions that it's almost like a human trafficking transaction. And yeah, this is why I'm saying this shit got dark. And that's really about it. That about covers this chapter. I thought it was a good chapter. We learned that Eida was kind of like a flirty romance character, which I definitely didn't see coming. I thought she was going to be like some all-knowing being, which she is, but I mean, I guess she's got like a personality with it too, so there's that. Code, who the hell knows what's going to happen with him now? I thought going into this chapter that now he would be like the main bad guy, like the main guy they're trying to stop. Eida seems like she's more powerful than him, and she could just control him now anyway, so there's really nothing he can do at this point. Boruto obviously is still a huge threat as well. I really can't decide what I think is going to happen with this final fight, or this chapter 1 fight between Kawaki and Boruto. I can't tell who's supposed to be the bad guy or good guy. I'm tempted to say that they'll make Kawaki the good guy in this fight. There's some things they say, like Boruto saying, like, I'm still a ninja. That doesn't mean that he's not the bad guy in the situation, so I'm very interested to see what will happen. The Boruto manga continues to be very good. This chapter was a bit more tame as far as fights go and advancement, but we had to learn a new character who has a lot of abilities, so there's a lot of talking to explain these abilities. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. As always, leave a like, subscribe. I'll see you guys next time. Thanks.